Welcome back then guys to this live stream. Sorry for that little delay at the start. I forgot to update a graphic, but I finally managed to now. But welcome back to this live stream after a dreadful third place match for England. And we're back for the 33 lap feature race for IFMC GP2 here at Abu Dhabi. Where we could end up crowning a new champion in the form of Felix Rosenqvist, providing that he stays where he is today. He's pretty much got an easy route to get to the title today, but anything can happen in racing, and it usually does. He's still got to pretty much finish if he wants to win the championship today. As mentioned, we've got 33 laps of action, including a mandatory pit stop. You didn't see what happened yesterday in qualifying. It was quite a close qualifying session, must be said, but in the end, Felix Rosenqvist managed to grab pole position, with a surprising Nyck de Vries managing second, and Lando Norris managing to grab third in the Lightbase Sony racing car. Well, what could we expect for 33 laps of action? We'll have to wait and see in a little bit. So, before we start then, guys, let's mute this, turn this up a little, and let's have a look at the grid for the feature race here at Abu Dhabi. Here we go then. So on pole position then, it is Felix Rosenqvist with Nyck de Vries in second. Lando Norris is in third with Pierre in fourth. Stroll starts in fifth with George Russell in sixth position. Mitch Evans will start in seventh with Sasha Fenestra as a very impressive eighth from yesterday. Lynn starts ninth with Nato running at the top 10 in 10th position. 11th on the grid goes to Jolyon followed by Luca Ghiotto in the EMR. 13th on the grid goes to Vries, followed by Sergey in the Ecademy car, struggling in qualifying. Nobuharu starts 15th with Yuri Vips in 16th position. 17th on the grid goes to Luca, followed by Santiago Urisha in 18th position. 19th on the grid is Dan Tickton, followed by the first of the three qualifying banners. Sergey Sirotkin is in 20th, and on the back row of the grid it's Sean Galile and Joel Eriksson. And that is the grid for the feature race here at Abu Dhabi. So there is the grid then, guys, for the feature race, and the weather, of course, being bright and sunny. So leave your predictions, but without further ado, let's get to the 33 lap feature race here at Abu Dhabi. So, here we are then on the grid then. It's Rosenqvist on the left of your screens, de Vries on the right. Who's going to get the lead into turn 1 as we wait for the 5 red lights to go off to signify the start of the feature race here at the Yas Marina Circuit. Will Felix Rosenqvist wrap up the championship today, or will George Russell stop him and take it to the sprint race tomorrow as we wait for them to go out? 1 light, 2 lights, 3 lights, 4 lights, 5 lights are on. And it is going for the feature race here at Abu Dhabi. It's a good start from Rosenqvist, who gets a jump from de Vries. Lando Norris tries to find a way through on de Vries there, but de Vries decides to tilt back. Behind Rosenqvist, a good start from Russell, who's had a fantastic start. And he gets up to third with ease there. Fantastic start from George Russell. He needs to get that done in his third at the first corner. Has everybody got through the first corner okay? No incidents from yesterday in GP3? No, none to report. Rosenqvist leads away, but he's got de Vries all over the backside of him. De Vries trying to challenge him for the lead as they go into the bus stop. Rosenqvist holds on for the moment as Stroll has a look at Norris for 4th place now then. As meantime, Danny and goes Palmer on Lynn as he got the place of his fellow compatriot. Looks like there's a bit of contact there then, or was that Palmer passing Evans? That was Palmer passing Evans for 8th place. Bit of contact between Vries and Lynn as they went into the bus stop there then. And as we got through okay, yes, Eriksson brings up the rear, but it is Rosenqvist who leads the way as they all go charging down this long straight now. Then as you can see, de Vries trying to get hold of Rosenqvist down the straight. He's in the slipstream of the Swede. Can he possibly try and move into the left and right hander? He's not close enough in this instance now. As they all go down the straight, as you can see, Fenestra going defensive. He can feel the pressure a little bit from Jolyon Palmer as well as Grand Prix car, as looks like Stroll went a bit defensive in case Gasly tried to pop a move on him into that chicane there. As meantime, Vries gets up to 9th. He's passed Lynn to P9 for Vries at that chicane. And they make their way down the straight now then, as de Vries not close enough to get Rosenqvist in this instance. Same with Gasly as well, as it'll come down the straight. Palmer trying to attack Fenestra for 7th place, but isn't able to pull that off as Lynn goes defensive because he can feel the pressure from Sergey and at the same time he's feeling pressure from Mitch Evans, making their way into the chicane now then. Have to go around that chicane. And as you can see, everybody's just trying to group with each other at this stage as they all make their way around the hotel section. Rosenqvist, I don't know if he's starting to pull a bit of a gap now to de Vries. It looks like he is, but de Vries still keeping within touching distance from him at this stage as they all make their way around the left-hander. And as you can see, Rosenqvist starting to pull away a little bit. Russell and Norris trying to gain on him at this stage, so they're looking to try and pounce for second place if they can, as they make their way around the second to last turn and then up towards the final corner. They will now go, and at this stage, if it stays like this, Rosenqvist will win the championship. So at the end of lap 1 then, a 33, here at Abu Dhabi, with Rosenqvist taking an early fastest lap. Rosenqvist leads, De Vries second, Russell third, Norris fourth, Stroll in fifth, Gazzy sixth, Fenestraz seventh, and Palmer rounds out the top 8. Palmer's all over the backside of Fenestraz. Fenestraz defending the inside into turn 1. Palmer thought about diving it down the inside before better of it, as if they're not careful, Razzie could even close up to these guys as well. Gazzy trying to attack Stroll at the moment. I don't think he's close enough to get hold of his former teammate at this stage. As they go down the hill towards the bus stop, it doesn't look like he's close. On meantime, Palmer, though, all over the backside of Fenestraz. Will he go for the move into the bus stop chicane down the inside? But Fenestraz shuts the door and holds on to 7th place as Kamara goes defensive. Can feel the pressure from Mitch Evans mounting as there's some more battles going on. Looks like Galar fending off from Sirotkin, who hasn't really gained much from the start. He's gained a little bit, but not too much at the moment in this stage of the races. Meantime, Norris trying to get out to Russell, who's struggling to close up onto Nyck De Vries at this stage of the race. As meantime, they all come down this long straight now, then heading into the chicane. Here's Rosenqvist, the current race leader, making his way out of the chicane now, then using a tad bit of curb on the outside there. Then Norris still trying to attack Russell if he can, but still not close enough to get hold of him at this stage. At the moment in this race, meantime, Palmer, can he try and get Fenestraz down the support pit straight? Again, he looks like he's dropped back a little bit. Clearly, Fenestraz having a lot more traction coming out of that chicane than what Palmer did, as they all slow it all the way down now into the left chicane on the track. Palmer breaking that a little bit later than Fenestraz into the corner. Through the right and left-handed we go now then. Palmer getting a little bit more extra traction than what Fenestraz had to offer. Round the left-handed we go. As they come out of the turn now, they're heading in towards the triple right-handed now then, as they will approach the hotel section in a little bit now then. Up towards the right-handed we go. And out of the corner now then, as you can see, Gazzy still trying to pile some pressure onto Lance Stroll at the moment, but still not within the slipstream range of the Canadian. Not in a position where he could start to attack him for that place. Stroll at the same time trying to chase down Lando Norris for 4th place, as he looks to try and pick up some more points. His teammates up in 2nd place at the moment and dropping back a bit now from Rosenqvist. Could soon come under pressure from George Russell if he's not careful. And in terms of the mandatory pit stops, I would expect them to possibly come. Let's see, I expect them to come around about lap number, as I try and find somebody else at the moment to try and see if I can work it out. So 33 laps of action, we're currently on lap 3. I'd expect them to come in at around about lap 21 to 26 perhaps, or maybe just a little bit sooner, maybe lap 19 to 24. So that's that really. Meantime, Fenestraz goes defensive as Palmer's putting pressure on. And meantime, Lynn also putting pressure on Louis Razzie at this stage for 9th place, unable to make the move stick into the chicane. And so Lynn unable to get the place back that he lost from Razzie at the start of the race. Rosenqvist continuing to lead the way at this stage as they make their way down the long straight before approaching the chicane. Rosenqvist continuing to pull a gap between himself and Nyck De Vries, as Lando Norris losing time a bit now to George Russell's Red Bull Academy car, as they make their way around the left and right chicane now then, as they just come off the turn now, then using a tad bit of curb on the outside there, then as they come down the straight towards the chicane, the left chicane. And as you can see, Norris still trying his best to get out of Russell in front of him as they make their way into the chicane, round the left, then the right, and then into the left-hander again. We will go. So now they come up now then towards the 90-degree left-hander, as now they come off the turn as Gasly tries to get hold of Stroll in front, but struggling to do so in the process. Palmer also still stuck behind the Frenchman of Sacha Fenestraz. These two have been battling for a few laps now. Fenestraz doing a good job fending off Palmer at this stage of the race as they make their way round the 90-degree right-hander. Into the left we go, as now they make their way into the next corner on the track. Palmer still trying to find a weak point in Fenestraz's driving. In towards the final 2 turns we will go on the track. Into the second to the last corner, and then up towards the final corner goes Jolyon. Palmer, would he try and see if he could possibly make a move down into turn 1 if he can? Coming off the final corner, heading down the pit straight. Palmer is in the slipstream now then. Sacha Fenestraz, well, he's not close enough to get him at this point. Fenestraz didn't even think about defending into turn 1 there then, so stays in front for the time being. Palmer now doing right on board as they go through around turn 2 and this long swooping turn 3. Palmer trying to get some momentum on Sasha Fenestraz if he can. Can he get him into the chicane? Fenestraz goes defensive and Palmer thought about it but hangs there for now. As meantime Lynn goes for a dive down the inside of Razia, but Razia again fending him off and holding on to 9th place into that chicane there. So still stuck behind him at this stage of the race. Stroll now all over the backside of Lando Norris. So he's now going to give him a cause for concern as they fight it out for 4th place in this race. Now then, in towards the chicane we will soon go. And now in towards the left and right hander we will soon go. Through the left and then into the right hander. And Stroll still trying to give Lando a bit of a hard time in front of him at this stage. Palmer now then still all over the backside of Fenestraz. Could try and put a move on him into the S's that they'll soon be coming up to at the end of this support pit straight, but at the moment not really giving Fenestraz too much of a cause for concern at the moment. Into the chicane we will now go as they slow it all the way down through the left. Look like Fenestraz went a tad bit defensive into there, but not too much, as Palmer closes him up a little bit more then into the braking point. Around the left hander we go. Palmer still stuck behind Sasha Fenestraz's Lopez Racing Development car. Razia now getting close to his own teammate, so the 2 Willows Grand Prix cars could actually have a fight at this stage. Into the next 90-degree right-hander we will go as he flicks the car in and then into the left-hander and then approaching the next left-hander on the track we will go. Palmer trying to find some extra traction in the car as now Palmer trying to get within the slipstream now then of Sasha Fenestraz as he makes his way into the second to last turn. Up towards the final corner goes Jolyon Palmer as he comes out of the final corner and onto the pit straight we go. Will Palmer try and find a way through on Sasha Fenestraz? And again, well, Fenestraz goes defensive. Palmer putting him under real pressure, probably closer than what he has been before previously. Out of turn 1 we go, up towards turns 2 and 3 on the track now, then through turn 2 and then around turn 3. And let's see if Palmer can find a way through on Sasha Fenestraz as they go down the hill towards the bus stop chicane. Palmer has a little go at Fenestraz down the inside into the chicane. Will Palmer pull this one off? He'll try and hang it around the outside into this corner, but Fenestraz keeping him back, and now Razia and Lynn have caught up. Lynn again still stuck behind Razia at this stage, so it's now become a 4-way scrap for 7th place. And in fact, Evans isn't that far behind this scrap either. Norris so just had to combine. In fact, a whole gaggle of cars aren't that far behind that scrap at the moment. So very interesting down there at the moment. Here's Felix Rosenqvist continuing to lead the way at this stage as he makes his way out of the chicane, as Stroll still giving Lando a bit of hard time at the moment. Norris starting to lose time now to George Russell, but at the same time Russell isn't really getting on to De Vries as much as he would have anticipated at the moment at this stage, as they now make their way into the chicane. Around the left, right and left-hander we will go as he makes his way around through the section of corners and then into the 90-degree left-hander as Russell uses a tad bit of curb on the outside there. Then round the triple right-hander we go, and now up towards the next 90-degree right-hander as he flicks the car in for the right and then into the left-hander he will now go. And as you can see, Russell now then just flicking the car in. Out of the turn he goes before approaching the final 2 turns, and we'll have a look and see what the gap is like between him and De Vries at this stage. Rosenqvist about to start lap 6 of 33 in this feature race, so specifically we'll now have, I think, 27 laps remaining in this feature race here at Abu Dhabi. Let's see the gap between De Vries and Russell to just get an idea of how much he's not really gaining onto De Vries at the moment. Round turn 1 we go, and the gap between them is now, let's have a look, 2.2 seconds. That's how that looks, so that's how much time Russell he needs to gain at the moment, but so far he just doesn't seem to have the pace at the moment to hit De Vries. Stroll not close enough to get Norris at that point as Palmer's now dropped back a bit from Fenestraz. Fenestraz starting to stretch a gap, but meantime Lynn all over the backside of Palmer's teammate Razia into the bus stop. Will Lynn try and flick it to the inside, but again he doesn't risk it for a jockey biscuit and stays behind for the moment. Lynn just doesn't seem to want to try and position his car to the inside, probably fearing that there might be a crash if he tries to, but you've got to go for the moves sometimes, otherwise you can't really go for the overtake really, if that makes any sense whatsoever. Going down the straight as now Lynn drops back a bit now then, because it seemed that Razzie had a little bit more traction coming out of that left-hander than what Lynn did, as Lynn is in fact going a tad bit defensive. He can feel a bit of pressure, in fact, from someone, from Evans there, and I thought I saw a bit of tyre smoke there. Initially I thought it was an engine, but in fact it looked like somebody out of Fenestraz and Palmer is actually locked up going into the chicane. I would fear it might be Fenestraz, in fact, because look how close Palmer is now, all over to the back side of Fenestraz. Will he try and flick it to the inside into the chicane? No, he doesn't. Fenestraz defends the inside into that corner, and it's now brought Palmer back onto the prowl of him now then, as they make their way into the next 90-degree left-hander. Palmer just trying to see if he could try and find a way through on the Frenchman at this stage as they make their way around the triple right-hander. As Palmer now then trying to break that a little bit later than Fenestraz. Around the right and then into the left-hander we will now go. As Palmer comes off the turn now then into the next left-hander. As meantime Stroll still trying to pressurise Norris in front, but so far things not going according to pot for him at this stage. Into the second to last turn and then up towards the final corner goes Jolyon Palmer. And so far struggling to find a way by him at this stage as they go down the pit straight. And will Palmer try and find a way through on Sasha Fenestraz? He doesn't look close enough to get hold of him at this stage. He tries to get a little bit more extra traction out of turn 1, which he does. But will he be close enough to try and put a pass on Fenestraz through turn 2 and then around turn 3? We will now go. Will Palmer possibly try and make a move on Sasha Fenestraz, and he doesn't look like he's close enough to get the move done, despite the fact that Fenestraz defends into that chicane. Lynn, will he drive for the move? He's going to try and dive it down the inside of Louis Razier. How they didn't make contact, I have no idea. Razier just able to fend off. Evans tries to take a little bit of an advantage there, but Evans unable to find a way through, and hangs back behind Alex Lynn at this stage now then, as they make their way down the straight towards the left-right chicane on the track. And Lynn unable to find a way through on Razier at that point. He carried a lot more speed going into there. He was trying to dive it down the inside of Razier. Probably listened to me commentating a couple of laps ago, but unable to do so. And Lynn again having to fend off from Evans. Seti Kamara having to fend off from Norman Nato's Lightbase Sony racing car, as he's also got Ghiotto closing him down as well. So a few cars grouping it out a little bit, and as a result of that defensive move, Razier's now got a bit of a gap in front of Alex Lynn in their battle for 9th place at the moment. Palmer looking like he's starting to drop back a bit now from Sasha Fenestraz yet again, despite the fact it looked like he broke a little bit later than Fenestraz going into the chicane there, but it doesn't seem like Palmer is having an easy time trying to find a way through on him at this stage of the race as they make their way around the triple right-hander. As out goes Yuri Vips. Yuri Vips is out of the feature race. What's happened to the Estonian? Whereabouts is he on the track? And there he is. It's an engine failure. He's pulled off at the long straight. Yuri Vips with engine problems, and Yuri Vips is out of the feature race, and we're down to 21 runners in this race. Not a good start to RSPCA Racing's last weekend, being known as RSPCA Racing, as the team will rebrand to Red Rose Racing next season. As now Palmer makes his way round the left-hander, confirmation that Yuri Vips is out of the race. As Palmer just comes off the turn now, then heading in towards the final 2 corners on the track. But we're now down to 21 runners as a result of Yuri Vips' retirement. As now into the final turn we go, as they make their way down the pit straight. And will Palmer maybe try and attack Fenestraz again on this lap, but it looks like Fenestraz has got a bit of a gap to Palmer now then, as he just came out of turn 1. So it looks like Fenestraz has just got a little bit more of an edge on Palmer at this stage of the race as they go through turns 2 and then around turn 3 on the track. And so they make their way down the hill towards the bus stop chicane. Palmer not close enough, and Fenestraz didn't even need to think about defending. Lynn now again attacking Razier. Would he get the move this time into the chicane down the inside? Razier trying to stick with him. Lynn trying to hang it around the outside out of the bus stop. Has he got the place? And yes, he has. Lynn up into 9th place. Evans looked to try and take advantage but was unable to do so, and that's P9 for Alex Lynn. A good pass from the Brit as he gets by on Louis Razier for 9th place, but will Razier try and get him back down the back straight now? They're heading in towards the next chicane on the track. Razier trying to get within the slipstream of Alex Lynn. He's in the slipstream, but does he have enough straight to try and get hold of him? Lynn again going defensive, could still feel the pressure from Louis Razier. Razier breaks later into the chicane there, then as Evans, Kamara, Nato and Ghiotto start to form up behind these lot. Coming out of the chicane now, they're heading down the straight. Will Razier try and pull a move off on Lynn? This time by now then as they go down the support pitch straight. Is Razzie going to get the move done? Lynn defends the inside. Will Razzie try and dive it down the inside? No, he can't. Remains behind him at this stage. And Lynn fends off for the moment as they come out of the S's now then. And now in towards the 90-degree left-hander on the track as Palmer continues to lose time to Fenestras. Fenestras starting to pull a gap now between himself and Jolyon Palmer. Palmer just probably struggling with dirty air, being stuck behind Sasha Fenestras at this stage of the race now then, as Stroll still trying to pressurise Norris into a mistake in their battle for 4th place, but so far nothing appears to be working for them at this stage as they go down the pit straight, heading down towards turn 1 on the track. And Stroll now then not close enough to get hold of him at this stage as I pressed the wrong button there. I do apologise for that. There we go, just sorted out the little camera there then, and Stroll unable to try and get enough momentum to try and get him into the bus stop chicane as Palmer again though trying to get up close to Fenestras. Again he's just not close enough to put a pass on him at this stage. Meantime Evans now all over the backside of Razzie straight after Lynn passed him. Lynn now starting to get away from Razzie. Will Evans now try and put a pass on Razzie into the bus stop chicane? He's in the slipstream, he tucks up, he's going to look to the inside. Will Evans pull this one off into the chicane? Down the inside he goes, and yes he can. Evans up into 10th place. It's P10 for the Kiwi as Razzie loses another place and now could be put under pressure by fellow compatriot Sergey Kamara as they make their way round the left-hander on the track as they come off the corner there then, as Sergio Kamara tries to get hold of Razzie but not close enough to get hold of him. The same with Razzie on Evans. Evans has already bolted away a tad bit now from Louis Razzie as they make their way into the chicane. Now then, it's meantime, look at this, Nato trying to dive it down the inside of Sergio Kamara, thought better of it, and now that's going to put in prey to Luca Ghiotto's EMR and a few other cars that are stacked up behind him as well, including the likes of Tictum, Galio, Masushita, Sirotkin, his own teammate, Yura, and that's that really. Those guys have started to group up behind them now then, but Ghiotto unable to try and put a move on Nato into the chicane despite the fact that Nato defended into that left-right chicane now then, as they make their way round the turn now then. Evans starting to get away from Louis Razzie as he tries to chase down Alex Lynn for 9th place now then in this race. So Palmer looks like he's closed back in now onto Sasha Fenestras, so it looks like their battle for 7th looks to have resumed now then as they make their way out of the turn. There's Gasly looking quite lonely, it must be said, in 6th place with quite a bit of a gap in front of these two who are fighting for 7th place. Palmer comes out the second to last turn and then up towards the final corner. He will go now then as they now head down the pit straight. Will Palmer maybe try and get a run on him on this lap depending on how his turns 1, 2 and 3 is coming off these corners now then, but he looks like he's still a bit far back to try and get Fenestras, so Fenestras will hold on to the place for the moment in this race as they go through turns 2 and 3 on the track. As now they go down the hill towards the bus stop chicane. Stroll again not getting close to Norris and has to stay behind it for the time being. Sergio Kamara not close enough to get Razzie at the moment, so has to stay back for the moment in this race. So a little bit of a break with Razzie being overtaken there, as now they go down the long straight. Now then you could tell from there how close Stroll is to the back of Norris, but so far he's not been able to try and attempt to pass on him so far in this race. As we now look at Lance Stroll as he fights Norris for 4th place as they come off the chicane, heading down the long straight now then before approaching the chicane. And Stroll not close enough to get to Norris at this stage of the race. Into the chicane we go, because they will approach the left, right and left-hander on the track. Through the right and then into the left as they now make their way up towards the next left-hander. And they use a tad bit of curb on the outside there then as they make their way around the triple right-hander. And now up towards the next corner we go, round the right and then into the left-hander. And so coming off the turn now then, as they make their way through that left-hander, heading down towards the final 2 turns on the track. As they come off the turn now then up towards the final corner. Let's see what the gap is like between Stroll and Norris at this stage. As Rosenqvist now on lap 11 of 33. So including the lap he's on, we now have 23 laps remaining in this 23 laps remaining in this feature race, and the gap between Stroll and Norris is now 0.7 seconds. So that's how that looks at this stage. So they make their way around the right-hander. You could tell in the background there, Palmer again not close enough to get all the Fenestras for 7th place. So the Frenchman doing a good job fending off the Willows Grand Prix driver at this stage by having that gap going down towards the bus stop chicane. As Stroll makes his way round the left-hander on the track, and down the long straight we go as he looks to try and get some form of slipstream on Lando Norris in front of him. And Lance Stroll not getting close to the back of him at this stage as they make their way up towards the left-right chicane. And up towards the chicane now then we will go. Round the left and then into the right-hander we will go. So Stroll tries to get a little bit extra traction than what Norris has as they make their way down through the support pit straight now then before approaching the next corner on the track. As here's George Russell looking very lonely in 3rd place, but at the moment, as you can see, De Vries just has quite enough of a gap in front of him, and so far if it stays like this, even after the mandatory pit stop, if the result stays like this, then Rosenqvist will win the championship and become the first driver in IFMC history to win the GP3 and GP2 titles, and also be the first man to do it back to back as well, because he won the GP3 title last season, and so far he looks good to take the GP2 title this season as well, and could wrap it up today providing he stays where he is. As he comes around the final turn, as he now starts lap number 12 of 33 in this feature race, as he now heads down the straight towards turn 1 on the track. And Rosenqvist now then using a tad bit of curb on the outside, round to turns 2 and 3 he will go. And Rosenqvist doing a fabulous job out in front of this stage as he makes his way now then down towards the bus stop chicane. Round the left, then the right, and then approaching the hairpin will go Felix Rosenqvist. So now he just swoops his way round the left-hander, heading down the straight now then before approaching the chicane. And that's that for him really. As meantime is Stroll still trying to pile pressure on Norris, but so far it's just not been working out for him, as Sergey hasn't got the pace of Razia able to fend off his fellow compatriot at this stage, just like Sergey is coming under threat mainly from Norman Nato on the back from him as well. Nato started 10th, didn't have a good start, and that's why he's all the way down in 13th place at the moment, as he just comes out of the hairpin now then before heading down the straight towards the chicane. As Stroll now then comes off the chicane himself as he uses a tad bit of curb on the outside there then, as they make their way down the support pit straight. And now into the chicane we will go, and as you can see Stroll still a little bit too far back to challenge Norris at this stage of the race. Into the chicane we go as they fit the car through the left, right and left, and Norris looking like he's now creating a bit of a gap between himself and Stroll at this stage, and might be starting to try and get the hammer down and try and see if he can close up a tad bit to George Russell in 3rd place, but so far he's just a tad bit back from him at this stage of the race. Norris now flicking the car through the left-hander as he will now go through these section of corners as he dips down a few gears, and then up towards the final 2 turns goes Lando Norris through the second to last turn, and then up towards the final corner goes Lando Norris as he makes his way around the final corner and onto the pit straight. He will now go as he will now approach turn 1 on the track, and now heading down towards turn 1 we will go as they flip the car around the first corner using the curb on the outside as they make their way into turns 2 and 3, round the left and then into the right-hander. Around this long swooping right-hander we will go as they head down the hill towards the bus stop chicane. Round the left, then the right, and then into the hairpin we will soon go on the track, as Rosenqvist is on lap 13 at 33, so 21 laps remaining for Felix Rosenqvist, and we're still yet to get to the mandatory pit stop stages of the race as the fuel starts to come down a little bit. Looks like Norris is carrying a little bit lighter than what the top 3 is currently holding on to at this stage, and probably he'll be pitching around about lap number 8. Then again, probably around about lap number 18 to 20 we'll probably see him pit, so just keep an eye on that as he just comes out of the chicane. There's Gasly, looks like he had a tad bit of understeer coming off the turn there, but was able to correct it, but that means he's losing a little bit more time now to Norris and Stroll as a result. As here's Palmer losing more time to Fenestraz even more at this stage, as it seems that everybody's started to settle down into a little bit of a rhythm, it must be said. And so far not really many major overtakes have been done during this race for a while, it must be said. There's Ericsson coming down that long straight, as here comes Rosenqvist approaching the second to last turn, as he will now approach the final corner. So around the final corner and onto the pit straight goes Felix Rosenqvist as he makes his way down the hill towards the first corner on the track. And as you can see, 20 laps remaining for Rosenqvist. We're still yet to get, of course, to the mandatory pit stop stages of the race. And so far, that'll probably come around about in a few laps' time, it must be said, when we see the mandatory pit stop stages come into an effect. So Norris continues to lose time to Russell, but at the same time pulling away from Lance Stroll's GRM as he looks to build the gap up a little bit in that car as he heads down the hill towards the bus stop chicane on the track. And Norris has had quite a, well, to be fair to you, he's had quite a little bit of an up and down season, it must be said, although he is battling for third in the Drivers' Championship. And of course he did win the first race of the season, let's not forget, back at the feature race at Bahrain. Since then he hasn't had another victory. That's his only victory so far this season. He's only taken 2 GP2 career victories. One at the end of last season at this track when he was part of Mars Grand Prix before they moved to the top class for this season, and then one this season with Lightbase Sony Racing. So Lando really hasn't really got a break after that first race triumph, and he looks to try and want to see if he can get maybe one more victory by the end of the season, but so far it doesn't look like that might be the case at all during this course of the race. As now they make their way into the chicane, round the left, then the right, and then into the left-hander we will soon go. As Norris now then will approach this 90-degree left-hander, and so far producing a very tidy race at this stage, so no major problems going on for Lando Norris as they make their way around the triple right-hander on the track. Around the right and then into the left-hander we will go, as Norris just misses the curb on the outside there, but still a perfect exit nonetheless. I'll have a look and see in fact what the gap is like between Russell and Norris, just to get a little bit of an idea of what the gap is like between third and fourth at this stage now then, as they make their way around the final turn and onto the pit straight. So let's see the gap then between the pair of them as they make their way in towards turn 1 on the track. Round turn 1 we go, and the gap between them is now, let's have a look, 2.7 seconds. So that's how that looks at this stage now then. So 2.7 seconds is the gap between Norris and Russell at this stage. So that's that for them really as far as they're concerned, as Russell will now approach the left-handed hairpin on the track as they come off the turn using a tad bit of curb on the outside as they make their way down the long straight heading towards the chicane. So everybody just pretty much taking it easy now and probably just working towards the mandatory pit stop before they could make some serious battles perhaps again. So Nato still not able to find a way through on Sergey, probably getting stuck behind him at this stage of the race as he tries everything to get hold of the Brazilian. At this stage we ride on board with Norman Nato as he goes down the long straight on the track, heading in towards the left-right chicane he will go. And so now approaching that chicane he goes, and so through the left and right-hander we soon go on the track as Norris, his teammate, is currently up in fourth trying to chase down Russell for the moment, but so far still quite a bit to go before he can possibly try and get onto the back of him at this stage. And as mentioned, he's probably getting close to doing a mandatory pit stop in a little bit. He's got 6.3 litres left, so judging from that compared to his teammate, it looks like both Lightbase Sony racers are on quite a light fuel load compared to everybody else, so they're probably going to be trying to pit their drivers a tad bit early as Rosenqvist sets the fastest lap at 1 minute 44.587, and so far holding on to the bonus point for the fastest lap of the race. The gap between Norris and Russell, as we're now on lap 16 of 33, so specifically we now have 18 laps remaining in this feature race. the gap between them being 2.7 seconds. So that's how that looks for the moment, as Norris makes his way around the swooping right-hander, going down the hill before approaching the bus-stop chicane on the track, into the left-hander, and then into the right we will soon go. And then approaching the hairpin goes Lando Norris, as he still tries to pile some pressure onto the back of George Russell. As you just saw there briefly, I pressed the wrong camera. I must have said I accidentally chased the chase view camera. So apologies for that. As Palmer continues to lose time to the back of finish drivers like Lynn. He's kind of got a bit of a gap now to Mitch. It looks like, judging from it, looks like Lynn's got a little bit more pace in the tank than what his former teammate Jolyon Palmer has in front. So he could start to pressure Palmer for the final points place if he's able to do so. And effectively, that is the position that will guarantee you pole position for the sprint race tomorrow. So at the moment, it's currently being occupied by Jolyon Palmer's Willows racing car. Sorry, Willows Grand Prix car. That's their GP3 team name, that is. But Lynn could spoil that and try and get a pole position himself if he can, as they make their way in towards the left chicane on the track, through the left, then the right, and then into the left-hander we will go. As now in towards the left-hander, using the curb on the outside as they make their way down towards the triple right-hander. And so now up towards the right-hander we will go, as he makes his way around those sweeping corners, around the right, then the left, and then into the next left-hander we will go on the track. And they'll come off the turn, heading in towards the final two corners. Then we go, and we'll have a look and see the gap between Lynn and Palmer at this stage now then, as it does look like he's starting to gain onto him just a tad bit in this race. And the gap between Palmer and Lynn, the two Brits, is now, as they make their way down towards turn 1 on the track for the 17th time today. Out of turn 1 we go, and the gap between them is now 1.5 seconds. So that's how that looks, 1.5 seconds, the gap between Palmer and Lynn at the moment in this feature race. It's like Stroll has now dropped back a bit, as mentioned, from Norris, as Norris continues to try and cut down on George Russell's lead in front as he looks to try and get the podium place off his fellow compatriot. We're probably around a couple of laps away before the mandatory pit stop stage gets underway, and the GP2 guys trying to clear the final pit stops of the season for these guys. So Norris now then round the right-hander as he comes down the support pit straight, heading towards the left chicane. And Norris now then heading down the straight before approaching the chicane on the track. And Norris now then through the left, then the right, and then into the left-hander again. We will soon go. It's Norris now then makes his way into the 90-degree left-hander on the track, in towards the triple right-hander we go. And we'll have a look and see in a little bit what's the gap is like between the Red Bull Ecademy and the Lightbase Sony racing car at this stage of the race, as Norris now then goes around the left-hander, approaching the final two turns on the track now then, into the second to last corner, and then up towards the final corner we go, as Rosenqvist sets another fast lap of 1:44.525. So that's that at the moment. Rosenqvist continuing to hold on to the bonus point for the fastest lap of the race. The gap between Russell and Norris is now, with just 16 laps remaining, is, let's have a look, 2.4 seconds. So that's how 2.4 the gap between Norris and Russell at this stage of the race. The gap between Lynn and Palmer, it was 1.5 seconds previously. Let's see if that's been cut down a little bit more as they make their way through turn 1. In fact, no, Palmer is actually up the pace by a tenth there. So now the gap is up to 1.6 seconds between Palmer and Lynn. So Lynn losing a tenth now to Jolyon Palmer as they make their way down towards the bus stop chicane now then for the 18th time today, as they make their way out the turn before approaching the hairpin. Through the left-hander we go, as they go down the straight now then before approaching the chicane. At the same time, Palmer still keeping within touching distance from Sasha Fenestraz, and could try and rekindle the fight once the mandatory pit stops are out of the way and done with. But we'll have to wait and see on that, of course, to see if that will be the actual case, as Fenestraz now then goes around the left-right chicane. And the Lopez car is out, goes the other Lopez car of Joel Eriksson. So whilst we were talking about Lopez, The other one has retired. Joel Eriksson is out, and there he is. It's another engine failure, so that's the second engine failure we have had today here in the GP2 race. Joel Eriksson is out of the race, and we're down to 20 runners as a result, so he'll join the back row with Yuri Vips tomorrow for the final race of the season for IFMC GP2, as they make their way down the support pit straight before approaching the left, right, left chicane. And Fenestraz now then approaches the chicane on the track, round the left, then the right, and then into the left-hander he will go. As he just misses the curb on the outside as he still tries to push a little bit hard in that Lopez car now then. Meantime, here's Rosenqvist continuing to lead the way. And they are also now around about the same sort of fuel load as what Norris has in the back of them. Is Rosenqvist pitting next lap? No, but he sets another fastest lap. A 1:44.367 now is the fastest lap for championship leader Felix Rosenqvist, who is looking good at the moment to wrap up the championship today if all things go according to plan and stay like this at this stage. There was Eriksson's car you just saw briefly there parked up. It's in a safe area, so no car has to worry about possibly crashing into it a little bit later on, so for them that's good. The gap between Palmer and Fenestraz, let's have a look as they go through turn 1. We'll have a look and see what the gap is between himself and Lynn. Through turn 1, the gap 1.2 seconds between Fenestraz and Palmer, and the gap between Lynn and Palmer is now back down to 1.5 seconds. So Lynn takes that 10th back away from Palmer, and now it's back down to 1.5 seconds between the pair of them as they make their way into the bus stop chicane. As Evans isn't that far behind to bounce as well, as he's in 10th trying to chase these guys down as well. As they come out of the bus stop chicane, heading into the left-hander now then. Out of the turn before heading down the straight towards the left-right chicane on the track now then, as there are a few pitters coming in very soon, as Pierre Gasly, Lance Stroll and Lando Norris are coming in. So from 4th to 6th, these guys are pitting at the end of this lap for their mandatory pit stop. So the mandatory pit stop stages are now getting underway as Norris makes his way down towards the chicane just after the support pit straight. Round the left, right and left-hander we will go. And it seems that the mandatory pit stop stages are coming quite a bit late in this race, it must be said. So a bit of a strategic play going on then in this race, as now they make their way around the triple right-hander now then. Around that right-hander, they will now approach the next one on the track through that 90-degree right-hander, then into the 90-degree left, and then another 90-degree left. A lot of 90-degree corners, as I pointed out yesterday during the GP3 race. Loads of 90-degree corners around this track, as Rosenqvist again with another fast lap of 1:44.328. He is absolutely flying out the front of the field. As into the pits then comes Lando Norris from 4th place. Also joining in will be Lance Stroll and Pierre Gasly. So those three guys are coming in this lap, as Lando Norris will pull into his box to put on a fresh set of tyres and fuel. And let's see where this is going to put Norris out. A quick wipe of the visor there then from Lightbase. And let's see how quick the stop will be then for Lando Norris's Lightbase Sony Racing team, as it is an 11.3 second stop for Lando Norris. Gasly in as is Stroll, as Stroll had to wait for Norris to go by, which he did, as they now soon flick off the pit limiter. Let's see where all three of them are going to rejoin. Stroll finishes his pit stop, as did Pierre Gasly, as they go down to go underneath the track. And where is Norris? He just comes around the left-hander. Lando Norris is going to rejoin in 15th position, just in front of Sergey Sirotkin. But Sirotkin could try and attack him into the bus stop chicane. Will Sirotkin do so? He's going to try and have a look and see. So a few more cars now then into the pits. Look like Santiago Urishi has just come in. So 15th for Lando Norris, just able to stay in front of Sergey Sirotkin. Lance Stroll rejoins 17th, Pierre Gasly 18th. Yura and Urishi have just finished pit stops. There's also coming in this lap will be race leader Felix Rosenqvist in the Red Bull Academy. So the race leader is coming in at the end of this lap as he makes his way through the triple right-hander on the track. And now down towards the 90-degree right-hander. And now they'll soon go underneath the hotel, pretty much on the other side of the hotel to be exact, through that left-hander, as they will now approach the final two turns on the track now. Then we'll see Rosenqvist peel to the right, which he will now do. So into the pits comes Felix Rosenqvist from the lead of the race, as he'll soon flick on the pit limiter, which he will do now then. So let's see where Rosenqvist is going to be joining after the stop. Looks like Nyck de Vries is also coming in for GRM, so the top two coming into the pits at the same time, and it is De Vries that's come in. So let's see how quick the stop will be for Felix Rosenqvist. He will give the lead temporarily to, I think it will be George Russell, his teammate. So Russell will be taking the lead temporarily. 10.9 seconds is the stop for Rosenqvist. And De Vries, I think, has also just finished his pit stop. As Fenestraz is now into the pits for Lopez Racing Development, as is Alex Lynn. No, in fact, Lynn pitted. Oh no, Lynn is into the pits, as is Jolyon Palmer. So that big group of cars that were in earlier are now into the pits. And let's see where Rosenqvist rejoins after the stop. As he goes uphill, he rejoins in second place, just in front of Louis Razzie, who's pitting in his lap. A few cars in this time by. Here's De Vries coming out on the road. He's going to rejoin in 5th position. And in fact, he looks just in front of Luca Ghiotto. As Norris, there he is. As a few cars will be coming in this time by. Here comes Palmer, who's out in front of Evans still. And it looks like Lynn's been jumped. Lynn's been jumped by Evans. So Evans has got the jump on Lynn. So Palmer has now got a breath of fresh air as a result. So Evans managing to get the jump on Lynn into the pits. Palmer rejoins 12th. Evans 13th. Lynn in 14th. And Fenestraz rejoins in 15th. He's lost a heap of time, in fact, in the pit. So Fenestraz has lost the points position. So Fenestraz has lost the positions to not only Palmer, not only Lynn, but also Evans as well. So that will drop him down to around about 10th place. So now that will bring not only Palmer up to 7th, but I think that will bring Lynn now into the points. So Lynn now is going to be in the points as a result of that pit stop. Here's George Russell, the temporary race leader, but he's going to be pitting at the end of this lap, which should hand the lead back to teammate Felix Rosenqvist. He'd hope that wouldn't be the case, but that will be the case, unfortunately, as now Russell goes around the second to last turn. As he now peels to the right, so into the pits then comes George Russell from the temporary leader of the race. Or hand it back to teammate Felix Rosenqvist, as we now are about to start lap 22 of 33, which you have now then. So we now have 12 laps remaining in this feature race for what we believe to be Felix Rosenqvist once he passes Russell. Russell now then into his box, a quick wipe of the visor from the Red Bull Academy mechanics. Let's see where Russell will come out then after this stop. And it is a 10.4 second stop for George Russell. Through goes Rosenqvist to retake the lead. I think De Vries might also follow through as well, as Louis Razzie is into the pits, as is Sergey Kamara. There's De Vries. Russell is actually going underneath the track now, but I think De Vries will just have the edge over him, which he does. So De Vries will go back into second place, splitting the two Red Bull Academy. So resuming P2 will be Nyck De Vries. Massachusetts is into the pits. Russell rejoins yet again in 3rd place. As meantime, Sirotkin, who's yet to make a stop, of course, he's still giving Norris a little bit of a hard time, it must be said. So now they just come around the right hand, and now they will Sirotkin actually go for the move on Lando Norris. And maybe how Lance Stroll is going to go to the inside. Will Sirotkin pull the move off into the chicane? He tries to hang it around the outside into the chicane. This is really helping out Stroll now, who's closed up right up to the back of these guys. And Sirotkin has taken the place, despite the fact he's pitting the end of this lap. Sirotkin gets up to 4th, and it's now put Stroll right back into contention as he tries to find a way through on Norris there, but he had to back out a little bit because it looked like he was staring right into his path. So that might have cost him a bit of time, but he's now back on the prowl of him. Gasly not that far behind either from this scrap as well, so it looks like we could have a three-way scrap for 4th place starting to develop at the moment. As the sparks come off the back of Norris's car. Stroll breaks a little bit later there than what Norris does going into that chicane. As now they make their way around the section of corners now then, just coming off the turn. As they make their way down the support pit straight. And Norris now then still in front of Stroll at the moment as they make their way down towards the chicane on the track. And so now approaching the left chicane. Stroll not close enough to go and get him at that point. But that's that then really. And in fact, Lynn has actually lost time in the pit. Sorry, I forgot about this. Lynn actually lost the place to Evans, didn't he, in the pits. And it looks like Felix has lost another place, in fact, because Razzie has leapfrogged him into the pits after his stop. So Razzie will now up to be into a provisional 10th place once I believe Sirotkin makes his stop, unless Sirotkin gains a load of time in the pits. Stroll braking a little bit later and getting up close to the gearbox of Lando Norris as Rosenqvist sets another fastest lap of 1:44.298 now. He is just set as we look at Sirotkin, who's coming into the pits. This time by then as he flicks the car to the right. So into the pits comes Sergey Sirotkin. From 4th place, through will go Norris, through will go Stroll, and through will go Gasly. So let's see how quick the stop will be then for the EMR mechanics as he pulls into his box. And now fresh set of tyres and fuel go into Sirotkin's car now then. And let's see where Sirotkin is going to rejoin now then, as we're on lap 23 of 33, 11 laps remaining in this feature race. 11.2 second stop for Sergey Sirotkin. Where's he going to rejoin? As through goes a couple of cars, in fact. As Sirotkin will soon flick off his pit limiter, which he does. And let's see where Sirotkin is going to rejoin now then, as he goes underneath the bridge. And then around the right-hander he goes, as he makes his way up the hill now then, around the sweeping left-hander. And let's see where he's going to rejoin. There's Tictum on the right, and oh, Tictum, what were you doing there? And as a result, he's made contact with Euro. What on earth was that about from Dan Tictum? Was it because he wasn't expecting Sirotkin to be there? Was he trying to avoid him as he was coming out of pit lane? A little bit weird there. Luckily he didn't take him out, but I wonder if the stewards will want to have a word with Tictum as a result of that one, as now he's held up Euro to the point where now through will go Santiago Yurisha. We got a yellow flag. It's Sean Ghiotto. Ghiotto has spun at the exit of the bus stop chicane. Ghiotto has gone for his spin. Let's see what on earth happened to Sean Ghiotto as he makes his way round turn 3, heading down the hill towards the bus stop. Let's see, did he just lose it on his own control? Let's see, through the chicane. He goes around the left-hander, into the right, and he carries a bit too much speed, bounces off the wall. Luckily, he doesn't sustain some damage, but it puts him into a spin, and he's going to lose some more places as a result. So, that's that for him, really. Yurisha went through on Euro just before the yellow flag, so he's kind of lucky in that regard. So, Ghiotto now then just getting the car moving again, and drops down to what is effectively last place now, because there's only 20 cars left in the race. Here's Rosenqvist. He'll soon start lap 24 of 33 in a little bit, as he just goes out of the hotel section. And Stroll is beginning to again lose time to Lando Norris' Lightbase Sony racing car. So that's that then, really, as far as they're concerned. And so it now puts Evans and Palmer up places. Palmer up to 7th, Evans up into 8th place. So at the moment, if it stays like this, Evans will be on pole for tomorrow's sprint race. If it stays like this, thanks to the leapfrog that he's just done in the mandatory pit stop stage, as Evans flicks the car round the left-hander and then into the next left-hander he goes, coming out of the corner before approaching the final 2 turns on the track. Now then, Evans through the second to last corner and then up towards the final corner goes Mitch Evans. Now then, coming off the final turn and onto the pit straight we will go, and we'll have a look and see what the gap is like between Palmer and him anyway, as they make their way down towards turn 1 on the track. And the gap between them is now, let's have a look, coming off of turn 1 and into turns 2 and 3, 4.8 seconds is the gap between Palmer and Evans at this stage then. So that's that for them, really. Meantime, Russell, I don't know if he's starting to close in a bit to De Vries. Well, he's still not within slipstream range at the moment, but it does look like he's a tad bit closer than what he was before. Looks like Russell's starting to close in a bit now on the Dutchman, Nyck de Vries, as they now make their way through the chicane, through the left and then through the right-hander we will go, as Russell uses a tad bit of curb on the outside there, then heading down the support pit straight. But at this rate, his championship is slipping away from him, as it looks like it's all going to fall into place for Felix Rosenqvist to wrap up the championship today. Out of the left-hander he goes, as Rosenqvist now approaches the triple right-hander before approaching the hotel section of the course. Now then, as he makes his way round the right and then into the left-hander, he will now go, as Rosenqvist now then just misses the curb on the outside. Through the left-hander he goes. Here's George Russell. Round the right-hander he goes, and then into the left-hander. And Russell now then just coming off the turn before flicking the car in through the corner now then, before approaching the final 2 turns on the track now then. Into the second to last corner, and then up towards the final corner goes George Russell. And let's see the gap between him and De Vries at this stage. 9 laps remaining for Felix Rosenqvist as he started lap 25 of 33 in this race now then. As they approach turns 1, 2 and 3 we will soon go, and the gap between De Vries and Russell is 2.4 seconds. So that's how that looks at this stage. As meantime now then, Gasly tries to get up with Lance Stroll for 5th place, but at the moment appears to be struggling to find a way through. Meantime, we've got a fight for 11th starting to brew between Sasha Fenestraz and Sergio Seti Camara, Seems to be the only interesting battle that's happening on the track at this stage. Everybody just starting to settle perhaps into a bit of a rhythm. Through turn 1 we go now then, before approaching turns 2 and 3. Kamara now, they're trying to find a way through on Sasha Fenestras for P11 through turn 2. And then they'll swoop around turn 3 on the track now then. Will Seti Kamara find a way through as they go down towards the bus stop chicane. He's in the slipstream now then. Fenestras defends. Seti Kamara finds a gap down the inside. Will he pull the move off into the chicane? And yes, he does. Up into 11th place goes Sergio Seti Kamara. He gets the move done, and that's another place Fenestras has lost ever since the mandatory pit stop happened. So he's now down to 12th, and now Seti Kamara could try and chase down fellow compatriot Louis Razier for 10th place. And Fenestras might come under threat from fellow compatriot Norman Nato if he's not careful, as they make their way down the support pit, down the long straight before approaching the left-right chicane on the track now then. So that'll be that then for them. I don't know what on earth I was trying to say there. Here's Rosenqvist round the left-hander he goes, as he will now approach the next section of corners coming off the turn before he approaches the last 2 corners on the track. Into the second to last corner, and then up towards the final corner goes Felix Rosenqvist as he now heads down the pit straight now then, before approaching turn 1, as he now starts lap 26 of 33. So 8 laps remaining before Rosenqvist is crowned champion, but he still has these important laps to complete. Anything can happen in racing, and it usually does. So Rosenqvist now then just swooping around that right-hander before heading down the hill towards the bus stop chicane now then, as he makes his way through the left, then the right, and then up towards the hairpin we will soon go. As is Gasly trying to get up close to the back of Lance Stroll for P5 now that he's lost touch of Lando Norris, and the gap between them is 1.4 seconds. So that's how much time Pierre Gasly has to find within these last 8 laps of the race, as they go down the hill towards the bus stop chicane now then. Into the left and right-hander we now go, round the left, then the right, and then out of the turn we go before approaching the hairpin. And now heading down the straight now, then we go as whoa, what's going on here? Norris looks like he's made a mistake. He's lost his front wing, and so has Stroll. 2 cars have lost the front wing coming out of the hairpin. Whatever has happened to Lando Norris? Let's have a look as they now come up towards the hairpin. It looks like he's locked up heavily, and then has had a touch of understeer and has smacked it, spins it, and then it's right into the path of Lance Stroll. They both lose their front wings. The incident will have to be investigated after the race, and that's now going to put Gasly up to 4th, Palmer up to 5th, and well, there's a lot of front wing being scattered around the track. And now who's that's going to put in the points? It's going to put Lynn and Razier now into the points. So at this rate, Razier will take pole position for the sprint race tomorrow. If it remains like this, as now Stroll and Norris are going to have to make a trip to the pits for a new front wing for the pair of them, as something has happened to them in this race, and they're trundling now with half a front wing each on them now then, as they've both lost the left hand side of their front wings as a result of that tad bit of contact. And they come off out of the chicane now then. Through will go Evans, who's coming up to the back of these two now then, as the pair of them trundle to get back to the pit. Evans goes through and on Stroll, and he will now go through on Lando Norris. Whoa, Jesus Christ there. Norris probably didn't even realise he was there. Evans had to literally react very quickly, but in fact Stroll and Norris is still fighting it out. Stroll to the inside of Lando Norris, and he gets the move done as well. He gets 7th place for the temporary moment, as Lynn now comes stuck behind these two as they make their way out of the chicane there. And well, that's that really, but Norris is going to try and find a way back through on Lance Stroll. And well, this is holding up everybody at this stage. Vries has now come stuck behind these guys, and it's pretty much a traffic jam through here. Vries can't get through because of Lynn on the right. Lynn finally gets through, and oh, Vries has now clipped the back of Lance Stroll. And well, I don't know if you blame Stroll in that instance, but Vries has gone for a spin and thrown himself out of the points places. So well, that's that. He's looking to not sustain some damage as well. That will be investigated, but Wow, a lot of stuff going on as everybody now tries to feed their way through. And I don't know who now that puts into the points. As Sirotkin now runs right, trying to avoid Norris, but able to correct it. It's put Lance Stroll, well, it won't put him in the points anymore. It will put Sirotkin into the points, so he's just been gifted points on a silver platter. Norris now really not helping his teammate as Nato goes through. So a lot of carnage then in the Pierre. Razzie now finally gets through on Norris there. Norris struggling to get the car turned in as he'll now try and get the car into the pit lane, which he does, to get the front wing change. As Stroll now gone into the pits, that's what I want to question. Yeah, the pair of them are now into the pits, so they're not causing as much chaos now, but those two incidents will be investigated. So a lot of things kicked off, and now there's a big gap between third to fourth. Gasly up to fourth, but could come under threat from Jolyon Palmer, who's now starting to chase him down for that place. Probably got a little bit helped out by Norris and Stroll there. So a lot of things kicking off, it seems, in that race. And well, and that is that really, as they now come down the long straight. And so that's that for them really. Sirotkin into the points, and so far it stays like this. He'll start on pole now for the sprint race, so a lot of things changing in terms of that. And chaotic lap there happened between the pair then, as fourth and fifth came to blows in a bit of contact there, and that's probably not the way Norris or even Stroll wanted to end their seasons, that's for sure. And it looks like now Gasly is possibly now in pole position to take third place in the Drivers' Championship from Lando Norris, with Sirotkin also outside the points at this stage. So that's that for them really, as the pair of them have finished their pit stops. So Norris and Stroll have come out, I think, now at the back of the field. Whoever's 19th and 20th, I don't know. It's Norris 20th, Stroll 19th. Stroll's got a bit of a gap in front of Norris. So that's that for them really, as we now look at George Russell, who tries to get hold of Nyck de Vries in front of this stage, as they come around turns 2 and then around turn 3 on the track, as they go down the hill towards the chicane. 2.3 seconds the gap between de Vries and Russell. 5 laps to go in this feature race, and the championship is definitely 6 laps remaining, as the championship is now slipping away from George Russell. He needs to hope that something bad happens to Rosenqvist now to salvage any chance perhaps of keeping his championship hopes alive going into the sprint race tomorrow. And well, that's pretty much that for them really. Sirotkin now with a big gap in front of Felix. Lynn with a big gap in front of Sirotkin now then. They make their way round the swooping right-hander on the track as they make their way down the hill towards the bus stop chicane. We've got a yellow flag, and it's Evans. Evans has now gone for a spin at that left-hander. So Evans has now gone deep into that left-hander, and now he's gone for a mistake into that corner. And Evans finds himself in a spin, and now that's cost him points, and that's now going to put Felix back into the points. Pretty much getting redemption now after what happened to him earlier. So now everybody's starting to get a little bit clumsy, it seems, towards the end of the feature race. That's the second spinner we've had. Luckily, Evans wasn't collected this time by, but he's now going to be pushed down to around about 18th with Stroll and Norris a long way down the field. Evans trying to find a gap in the traffic as a result. So Evans now then has gone for a spin, and there you go then. So Evans just goes out of that turn there then, and Evans then rejoining in 18th place as a result, and he's possibly now cost himself a chance of points. It puts Felix now into 8th place, and so far it looks like he will be taking pole for the sprint race tomorrow. So a lot of changes in positions in these last few laps or so. So a lot of things kicking off, it must be said, in these closing stages. 5 laps remaining for Felix. Rosenqvist has got an 8.2 second lead in front of Nyck de Vries at the moment, as they make their way down the hill towards the bus stop chicane. Up towards the chicane we go. Rosenqvist doing a good job out in front of this stage, as he will now approach the hairpin where Evans and Norris have had their blunder this race, as he just comes out of the hairpin now, then heading down the straight before approaching the next corner on the track. De Vries looking good for second place, finally getting some good luck after what's been quite a tricky season for the Dutchman. Russell trying to close him in, but so far just running out of time in which to do so. Palmer trying to chase down Gasly if he can for 4th place, and just not close enough to get hold of him at this stage of the race. Ghiotto now starting to close in onto Razzie for 10th place, so he's looking to try and gain a few places if he can. through turn 1 and then down towards turns 2 and 3 we will now go. And through turn 3 we will go. As now heading down the hill now then before approaching the bus stop chicane. And Ghiotto closing Razia up into the braking point there, but still unable to find a way through on the Brazilian at the closing stages of this feature race, as Ghiotto just comes out of the hairpin heading down the straight. Can he possibly try and get in the slipstream of Razia going into the chicane now? Then a Stroll now sets the fastest lap, so now he's holding on to the bonus point for the fastest lap of the race. Takes that away from Rosenqvist. A 1 minute 43.871 for Lance Stroll in the GOM, so it looks like he's going to salvage something despite that blunder he's had a couple of laps ago with Lando Norris. Round the chicane we go, as looks like Sirotkin's putting Masashita under a tad bit of pressure for 12th place at the moment, but struggling to find a way through on the Japanese driver at this stage. Now then, as they make their way down the straight before approaching the chicane. Meantime, can Ghiotto try and find a way from Razia into the next chicane? It doesn't look like he's close enough, and he's going to hang back for the moment now then and remain behind him at this stage of the race. Rosenqvist now then has started lap 30 of 33, 4 laps to go before he is crowned the champion. Round the left, then the right, and then approaching the hairpin goes Felix Rosenqvist, as he just tries to run these final few corners around these final few meters of the final few miles of the race to go, as he heads down the long straight. And so now, as you can see, Fenestraz trying his best at the moment, as he's currently 8th place at the moment. What's the gap between him and Sergey Kamara in the closing stages of this race as they make their way down towards turn 1 on the track now then, and the gap between them is now, let's have a look, out of turn 1 and then up towards turns 2 and 3 we will now go, and it's 2.5 seconds as Fenestraz also has a 2-second gap between himself and fellow compatriot Norman Nato, as they will now approach the bus stop chicane now then, as Fenestraz looking good to get pole position for the sprint race tomorrow, looking to try and get Lopez Racing Development's second victory of the season. Ericsson did it earlier on in the season, and I think it was back in Budapest actually, so Fenestraz looking to try and equal the score if he can between himself and Ericsson at the moment now then. Russell we're looking at now, so he tries everything within his power to try and get onto the back of Nyck de Vries, but so far things not going his way at this as he would have anticipated, as he now rounds the left-hander now then in towards the last few turns on the track, as Rosenqvist is about to start lap 31 of 33, so 3 laps to go for Felix Rosenqvist. Into the second to last corner and then up towards the final turn goes George Russell, as he will now make his way down the pit straight. And so now heading down towards turn 1 we will go. And let's see the gap between Russell and Nyck de Vries anyway, and Russell's gone straight on. Russell carries a little bit too much speed, and that is definitely cost him a chance of second place and well, maybe the championship as well. Luckily just kept it out of the wall there, but probably a momentary lapse of concentration there for George Russell as he went straight on turn 1 there, just luckily missing the wall. It was 2.1 seconds the gap, which he caught up a little bit, but now he's lost the time again because of that blunder down at turn 1. Luckily for him, he's got a big gap in front of Gasly, so it wasn't like he was going to lose third anyway, but he could have smashed his car off, and that would have handed Rosenqvist the championship right there as a result. So that was that really, as they make their way down the long straight before approaching the left-right chicane on the track now then. And Russell now then continuing to just now possibly settle into the race and just hoping that something happens to the top 2 in front of him of Nyck de Vries and Felix Rosenqvist to try and keep the championship fight going into the sprint race tomorrow, as Palmer looks like he's now starting to lose time now to Pierre Gasly, so he's just struggling to keep up with him in these closing stages. Like Gasly might have done enough to hold on to 4th place as a result, as Ghiotto still stuck behind Razia as they continue to scrap it out for 10th place here in Abu Dhabi, as they now make their way down the straight before approaching the chicane. And so that's that really. Unseen by the cameras, Sirotkin has got Masashita, so up to 12th place goes Sergey Sirotkin. He must have got him into the bus stop. So 12th place now goes to Sirotkin, but it looks like neither EMR is scoring points after this, and it looks like Ecademy could stretch their advantage a little bit more in the teams championship as they scrap for second place, and I think Ecademy could. I don't know if they'll wrap it up today. We'll have to wait and see, really. Rosenqvist now then on his penultimate lap of the race. He started lap 32 of 33. He's got an 8.9 second lead in front of Nyck de Vries, and now Rosenqvist is on his penultimate lap of this feature race as he makes his way round the bus stop chicane now then for the penultimate time today. Round the left-hander he goes as he heads down the long straight now then before approaching the left-right chicane. And Rosenqvist all but looking good to wrap up the championship today. So now he heads down the straight and now in towards the next chicane he will go, and there's Lando Norris as he's down in 20th after that blunder, and it looks like third place could be down the toilet for Lightbase Sony Racing, and even possibly the team's chances of grabbing second in the team's championship as well, because they were fighting with Midlands Racing and Ecademy for that second place, but so far it's looking to go towards Ecademy. That second place will be if it stays like this, so that'll be that for them really as they make their way out of the turns. As de Vries looking very good for second place at the moment, finally getting some good luck underneath him after what has been, as we've touched upon a little bit earlier in the race, quite a tricky season for the Dutchman, and but he looks like to finally have some luck underneath him, and as a result he gets hold of what could be second place in this race and 8 championship points to help out in his championship quest. But meantime, here's Felix Rosenqvist, who's just coming up now then towards the final 2 corners, round the final corner, and Felix Rosenqvist is about to start his final lap here in the feature race. It has just been the perfect race for Felix Rosenqvist. He started on pole position, was able to get the jump on everybody at the start, and then from that point no one was able to stop him. He only lost the lead once he had to make his mandatory pit stop, and it's just been in a complete dominant race as he's possibly now over 9 seconds in front of Nyck de Vries as a result, and if he could just keep this up, he is looking good to take not only his 3rd victory of the season, but also the GP2 title as well, becoming the first man in IFMC history to win the GP3 and GP2 titles, and the first man to do it back to back as well. So a lot of first there for Felix Rosenqvist if he can just keep it going for these last few meters of the race. Russell just needs to hope that something happens to the top 2 now. Otherwise, that is it. No chance of him winning the championship this season, which could make Red Bull Academy's choices for next season interesting. Whether they'll want to keep hold of Russell for next season, it will we'll have to wait and see on that, unless Martini, who currently owns George Russell, have other ideas of possibly trying to get him into a top class car for next season, but we'll wait and see on that. We'll see what the silly season has to offer, really. As Ghiotto has now lost time to Vries. Sirotkin tries to close up on his own teammate, but I think he's a little too late. I think Ghiotto will just hold him off in the end there then, and it looks like it is going to be 12th place for Sergey Sirotkin, 11th for Luca Ghiotto. No points coming the way of EMR, and I think that will help Ecademy grab second in the team's championship. Whether that will be for today or tomorrow, I'm not 100% sure. But meantime, here is Felix Rosenqvist, and brace yourselves, ladies and gentlemen, because the history maker is coming around the second to last corner. And after a fantastic race, he rounds the final corner, and it is going to be Felix Rosenqvist who wins the feature race here at Abu Dhabi. And as a result, Felix Rosenqvist is the Season 4 IFMC GP2 champion. He has done it! He becomes the first man in IFMC history to win the GP3 and GP2 titles, and the first man to do it back to back as well. Well done to Rosenqvist, a fully deserved champion as well. Nyck de Vries crosses the line in 2nd. George Russell crosses the line in 3rd. It's going to be Pierre Gasly who crosses the line in 4th position. Jolyon Palmer will cross the line in 5th. Alex Lynn is going to cross the line in 6th place in the Macamo car. As he rounds the final turn, Alex Lynn crosses the line in 5th position. Fantastic result for Alex, for 6th place for Alex Lynn. Fantastic result for him. Sergey going to pick up 2 points for Ecademy in the race there. Sasha Fenestras picks up his first points of the season to cross the line in 8th, and he'll be on pole position for the sprint race tomorrow. A really good race for Sasha Fenestras. Nato crosses the line in 9th. Vries will finish in 10th. Ghiotto will just hold off his teammate to finish in 11th. Sirotkin crosses the line in 12th. Masashita crosses the line in 13th. Tictum, 14th in the end. Eurasia will cross the line in 15th place. Fantastic for the Uruguay, not a good race for the Uruguay driver, I should say. Euro 16th, Galile 17th, Evans will cross the line in 18th place after his spin. And a little bit later, you'll be seeing Stroll cross the line in 19th, and Norris, who will cross the line in 20th position as they round the second to last turn. As Stroll now then rounds the final turn, as he will cross the line in 19th position in the end, and Norris will cross the line in 20th, which means that as a result, the silly season is now open for GP2. Teams can now announce their drivers for next season's GP2 season, as Norris crosses the line in 20th, and there you have it then. In the end, Felix Rosenqvist is the winner here at the feature race, and is your new IFMC GP2 champion. Well done to Felix Rosenqvist, and showing why he deserves that top class seat at Mars Grand Prix next season. So there you have it then, guys. After all of that, here is the results of the feature race here at Abu Dhabi. Felix Rosenqvist won the race with Nyck de Vries in second, George Russell in third. He misses out on the championship, but it's been such a good season with George Russell nonetheless. Pierre Gasly fourth, Jolyon Palmer fifth, Alex Lynn sixth, Sergey Kamara seventh, Sasha Fedez in eighth, Norman Nato ninth, Louis Razia 10th, Luca Ghiotto in 11th, with Sergey Sirotkin 12th, Nobuharu 13th, followed by Dan Tictum in 14th position. And if you scroll down the rest of the field, is Santiago Eurasia 15th, Lucas Jura in 16th, Sean Galal 17th, Mitch Evans 18th, Lance Stroll 19th, Lando Norris, the last of the finishes, in 20th, and the two retirements were Joel Eriksson and Yuri Vips. They were the retirements of the race. So let's see who's at the fastest lap then, who's going away with the bonus point, and it was Lance Stroll with a 1 minute 43.871, so he gets the bonus point for the fastest lap of the race. He was 2 tenths quicker than Lando Norris in the end there then. So there you have it then, guys. That has been it for GP2 today. GP2 will be back for their final race of the season tomorrow at 1 PM BST for the sprint race, but stick around now, guys, because coming up next is race 2 for IFMC GP3, the last race of the season for them. And it is a title decider between Ferdinand Hasberg and Joseph Newgarden, who will walk away the GP3 champion at the end of the day, and who will be the team's champion as well. So if you want to go and grab a quick drink, you can. The podium for GP2 is coming away just after this. But until then, Abby J. F1, thank you very much for watching. Congratulations to Felix Rosenqvist on becoming the Season 4 GP2 champion. And I will see you guys in just a little bit for the finale of IFMC GP3. Until then, take care and enjoy the podium.